Hey, I'm Sean in St. Louis, and this is the Marketing Gateway. We're out of the office for a couple of weeks, so we'll close out 2025 with some short episodes about the lessons we've learned from marketing this year and also the things we need to consider about 2026. So I don't know about you, but I am really tired of talking about AI. In talking with my marketing colleagues, I think we've all been pretty underwhelmed by the actual execution of all the promises big technology companies have been making about their large language model platforms. And I covered all this in a lot more detail in one of our episodes last week. See the show notes for details. But let me introduce a new acronym to you, and that's AH, or Authentic Humanity. Now, I haven't heard anyone else using this term, but if they are, hey, I came up with it too. And I've been using it to describe what a lot of people call the human touch. So first of all, let's acknowledge that AI is an interesting tool, but it's not a very useful one for most people. All those folks you see bragging on LinkedIn about vibe coding and automating their workflows and all that are actually the exception to the rule. A paper from MIT called The Gen A Divide, State of AI in Business 2025 found that despite billions of dollars in investment, only 5% of AI pilot programs have made any sort of impact on profit and loss, and the rest have been pretty much useless. Even worse, the report finds that ways a lot of people are using AI at work is through personal utilization rather than well thought out business initiatives. This might seem good on the surface, but the actual truth is that they're often utilizing AI in ways that are not secure and which are also not confined by the guardrails of approved vendor software. They're often just putting queries into ChatGPT without realizing that their prompts are very possibly something another user could expose through that platform. There's also the very serious problem of AI delivering incorrect results through what we often call hallucinations. Some models are trying to get around this by using tricks where multiple AI programs are running to create and check each other's output, but hallucinations are still so common, they're estimated to happen at least 40 to 50% of the time on most models, and they're actually getting more common, not less so, as these models evolve. I really didn't need to see much evidence of this happening before I outright refused to use general purpose AI software for my own research and analysis. I have watched models invent research participants and data out of thin air, and I can't run the risk of that happening in my work as a researcher because my credibility would be on the line. So the business case for large language models, at least at this time, is not too strong. But it's not to say that these tools aren't useful. They really can be. Where large language model AI is most useful is in applications like transcription, summarizing text, creating starting points for human beings to take over, and for proofreading. If you want to use ChatGPT for those purposes, it's a helpful and mostly reliable tool. I've also had limited success with deep research tools that can scan periodicals and academic papers. But I'd still caution you to treat the output like it came from the early 2000s Wikipedia and check your sources directly rather than rely on the output of the AI platform. What I encourage us all to do is to stop talking about AI as if it's the next stage of human achievement. In truth, large language models are a neat technological magic trick that won't get much better than what we see today. They'll just get more portable. But as for the rest, well, agentic AI is built on current tech, and it's an inefficient mess that cannot be relied upon at this point. And other AI applications for image, video, or audio generation come with huge caveats, not the least of which includes copyright concerns. Other forms of AI that are used for pattern recognition, hardware and software optimization, or improving image and video quality are definitely far more useful, but they're also a lot less sexy to talk about. In fact, we might not even call those things AI down the road. And to that end, there's a really famous quote from Nick Bostrom, director of the Future of Humanity Institute at Oxford University, and here it is. A lot of cutting-edge AI has filtered into general applications, often without being called AI, because once something becomes useful enough and common enough, it's not labeled AI anymore. That quote is not from 2025, by the way. It's from 2006, 20 years ago. So now let's talk about authentic humanity, or AH. It's no secret in marketing that authenticity is a key requirement for many consumers right now. Study after study after study shows that brands that fare best are the ones that can create true human connections with their customers, that can live their values, that can stand up for their employees, and that can engage in corporate social responsibility by cleaning up their own messes, giving back to their communities, and taking good care of the environment. You can see it in customer service. The companies who are considered the best at customer service are generally those where you can directly reach a human being on the phone and not have to spend time in an automated queue. And in services, customers often want a face-to-face service-scape where they can go and talk with someone else directly if they have a problem. You can also see it in brand management and marketing. Very few people want to engage with a brand on a daily basis, but when the brand is doing something cool that interests them, they're open to it and they appreciate the effort the brand puts into creating something fun and engaging. You can see it in product marketing and services too. Customers are tired of having to choose between many options for products, and so they like to search for reviews and testimonials from real people so they can feel like they're doing their due diligence in selecting a product or service they can trust. They often report that they read both the positive and negative reviews so they can feel like they've heard the true story, warts and all. And they have a higher level of respect for brands that own up to their mistakes and admit their faults. You can even see this in B2B marketing. What works in B2B today is not slick marketing campaigns. It's relationship building and face-to-face discussions, either in person or via video platforms. Marketing and sales get the conversation started, but many deals fall through because the two parties don't reach a point where the customer feels like their needs will be taken care of, particularly if they have a problem. This is the stuff AI can't and won't replace. It can't be authentically human because it's only really able to fool us with a facsimile of what a human being seems like. If we treat it as the tool it is and start using it as a starting point to allow us to get started on connecting to others, AI can still be very valuable. But just like autocomplete sometimes gets us things wrong and search terms sometimes don't lead us where we want to go, AI can get us on the wrong foot in human interactions. And because AI tends to be so confident and sycophantic, putting too much trust in it can lead us down the wrong path if we don't develop a heavy skepticism for whether or not it's actually being useful. And that's where we, as humans, need to step in and take over. Because unlike the tools we use, we can tell when we need to try a different approach without being told by a user. As it turns out, there's just no replacement for authentic humanity. I'm Sean in St. Louis, and this has been the Marketing Gateway. See you next time.